putting forward a vision that the corporate enterprise, regardless of at what level it's operating, should be subordinated to a set of hypothetically ethical principles. And that's often brought forward under the guise of stakeholder capitalism, is that merely serving the shareholders' interests isn't sufficient, that corporations should be required, or at least encouraged, but generally required, to take a much broader view of the world, and they should subordinate their corporate concerns to, well, let's walk through it. Environmental issues. Well, what does that mean? Well, in principle, what it means is that we accept that the corporations are required to accept the story that the world on the environmental front is hovering on the brink of disaster, positive feedback or tipping point induced disaster, the cause of that is unidimensional, and the cause essentially is overproduction of carbon dioxide, and that's such a pressing problem that all other issues should be subordinated to its diminishment as rapidly as possible. So and then there's other environmental concerns that might come out of that, but the fundamental issue here is that all corporate enterprises and activities should be subordinated to this radical environmentalist viewpoint. And then on the social front, what you have
STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel.
Champions.
What we were checking out there, if you've been watching, was Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson essentially giving a summary of what ESG, or at least the ESG mission is. I think he did a pretty decent job summarizing that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I was about to get to the social aspect as well, but
Yeah,
we'll get to that in a little bit.
we're definitely going to get to the social aspect of this shebang here, because we find ourselves in a very interesting place in society where it seems that there is a lot of things that are happening, or at least things that make no sense, things that are actually directly against our interests.
You and I's
Right.
interests.
But it's not being questioned because this is being done by corporate elites.
Push down your throat.
Yeah, in fact, corporate elites that no one really sees. Who knows who these people are, right?
So bad that even your government
Yes.
thinks it's okay.
A group of people who believe that they know what is better for you and your life. So, with that being said, I'd like to just take a deep dive, right? Let's just, we want to slow it down, understand what these people are talking about, and we just want to analyze the situation and get your thoughts on it as well. Why is this a relevant path? Why is no one pushing back against? Well, there are people pushing back against it, as we are seeing now. But why is it that we have all these corporations going down this path that seems to be not so beneficial?
Apparently, it's what's cool.
Right. As Dr. Peterson mentioned there in his video, these corporations are essentially just driving down this path, regardless of the deleterious effects, right, or outcomes that come from this. And we've already seen this already happen with a few other companies. Any thoughts on how you want to, or anything you want to point out before we push on with this double up?
Be on standby, man, because the intent of this video is to better get you to understand this ESG angle of attack.
Yes.
Not just on what's going on in the Bitcoin space, but just in your life. You might not know, but it's literally happening to you right now. Your retirement funds, your pension funds,
Exactly.
are all involved in this. So you need to pay attention. You need to know what ESG is.
Exactly.
For your own good.
For your own good.
For your own good.
Yeah, I think we are in a time when information is wildly out there, and we've mentioned it multiple times in the show before. Education is no longer optional. Self-education is no longer optional. We must all take it on ourselves to inform ourselves of the changes that have happened in our world in order to be able to best position ourselves for future growth and really for the future of our own family and our own good. So let's clarify what this ESG thing is one more time for those who may be wondering. ESG, what is ESG?
Why does it matter?
Yes. As Jordan, exactly, why does it matter too? And as Jordan Peterson laid it out there, this is a plan that is being pushed forward. We've spoken about it multiple times on the show before. But ESG is this environmental, social, and governance agenda. And the whole idea seems that it is to be able to get corporations to act more responsibly, right? Here are some numbers.
Which is a noble idea.
Yeah, it's a noble idea, totally cool. Okay. In fact, because let's put it this way: if we have ESG in place, functioning as a unperverted idea.
Not hijacked ideas.
Yeah, not a hijacked idea. Well, not a perverted good idea. Hijacked really is the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll find ourselves in this place where corporations would be taking more responsibility for the actions that they take that are not necessarily positive for our ecosystem.
Yeah, environment.
I don't want to use the word environment because
social.
when you start saying environment, it starts becoming global warming type of thing, right? And I'm trying to avoid people thinking that it's global warming, but I would tell you that if a corporation is dumping some fluids somewhere which is toxic, that is deleterious to your health.
Into my fishing pond.
Right? Yes, that is affecting you directly right now versus someone who flies in a corporate jet telling you that you need to go buy a 34 or 50 miles per gallon car so that you can save the skies or the cloud or ozone layer, whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind people that there was a point in time that we got into an ice age. Then we're now reversing from that ice age. But before that ice age, and when the ice age started falling away, it was not due to carbon being released to the atmosphere. There were no cars back then, but the ice age.
It was basically the Earth's gravitational pull around the sun, and the further away we get to the ice age. Plus, some of our personal actions, personal human actions. China digging to the core of the Earth and now shifting the Earth away from the center by 2 seconds or so. That recently happened.
Well, this is what I'm saying. There's and that's the thing, is like there is all this other technical aspects that are going on, right? And to think that it is solely because of carbon and solely because you drive a car is absolutely asinine, disingenuous, and really a path to slavery of some sort.
Control.
If you ask me. Yes, absolute control, right? And this is quite serious. But let me point out the bright side here. If a company is, say, dumping a bunch of toxic chemicals while they're mining, and there is a stream running through your neighborhood, and that stream is now taking on all of those toxic chemicals. Now you find yourself in a situation where this action of the corporations will directly affect you. I see that the corporations will probably not try to go do anything about it because they have this mindset of, well, we figure it itself, or they'll just pay a fine and move on.
They only care about profits. They don't care about the community.
Exactly. So having something to encourage companies to act in a how would you say, in a positive light, right? Or to enforce what would be the morally right thing to go, ethically standards, or to have higher ethic standards, right? Would be great. Now, if you take this same vehicle,
yes, sir,
and instead of pushing corporations to make sure they don't dump toxic liquids
into the
river, but you then take that out and say, because you could say, hey, if you guys are dumping toxic liquids into the river, we'll no longer finance your business. Or you could say, hey, if you guys don't force everybody to jump on the gay agenda or trying to
the social aspect of this madness,
right? Exactly, right. And this is not to say, like, listen, it's not a discriminatory thing. And that's where it becomes tricky these days.
That is why they mixed it up. Get it? Environmental, social, and governance. Why
Yeah.
don't you just do environmental, leave it as is? Why are you mixing it up with social? That
Listen,
is the distraction, my brother.
because this is how you configure divide and conquer. Right there, you give people a reason to be arguing, and then you jump in and
You know, Thomas Sowell said this.
yeah,
The whole concept is always put some form of racial divide.
yes,
So that social aspect
yes,
was that divide.
yes,
So like we are trying to control how we impact your environment,
Yeah.
right? And control you.
Yeah.
But guess what? We will now use that substance, which is the social, which is the, oh, you are gay, oh, you black, you're Latino, you're Asian.
yeah,
And then they'll now put the government
use that.
laws on the government. They will now put governance on it. Now you're
Yes.
fully controlled
yes.
entirely.
So now, if you don't have transforming clothes for kids, they can just cut off your funding. If you don't jump on whatever bandwagon they want you to hop on, they can just cut off your funding. Instead of something like if you were contaminating the environment, we'll cut off your funding.
And enforced by a government. That's why the
Yes.
governance come into place.
This would have been really awesome in somewhere like Africa, where they've been abusing the environment there. Imagine all these companies now being held responsible for all the damage that they have done in Africa in the name of mining or mining oil and such.
And just focus on that alone.
Yes.
Don't get all the
been,
social stuff in
yes,
it.
I think there's a bunch of people in Africa that would have appreciated that.
Hey,
But it's okay.
but guess what they're doing to them now? You have to pay 1,000 naira in Nigeria, for example, because you own the car. That's their form of enforcing
Exactly.
ESG. Woo!
Well then, or you could use it to enforce teaching kids things that they don't really need to be learning at school right now.
At a very young age.
Okay. Well, look at this, man. More than 90% of S&P 500 companies now publish ESG reports in some form, just like that. Okay. Just to tell you, there's a group of people who can decide that, hey, you guys are going to do this. Otherwise, you're screwed.
You ain't getting the big money.
Because mind you, ESG is not a law. But now there are companies that are on their knees publishing ESG reports.
You will see why
Right.
in a little bit, because we do have that document from Harvard that shows how much money goes in
Exactly,
into this
right?
investment.
70% of Russell 1000 companies now are on the Bitcoin, the ESG train,
Yup,
rather, right?
yup.
The Security Exchange is considering new rules that will require more detailed disclosure of climate-related risk and greenhouse gases emissions. Listen, while all of this is happening, okay, the people who are pushing these things are not reporting the same numbers. In fact, you could also look at this as in the future, you might not be able to have a business because your business does not meet these ESG regulations.
You can't get on the stock markets because you don't have an ESG number.
Dude, you may not even be able to open a business to begin with because they would want you to agree and comply to all of these crazy things. So this is carbon tax configuration in the making right here. Go ahead.
Limiting the growth to success as well, because
Yeah.
you cannot be a 9-to-5er and think you're gonna be super successful, wealthy.
Exactly.
You have to create something. You have to create a product. You have to be a business owner.
Absolutely.
And if they put in systems like this in the way, that's just another limitation.
Yeah.
You cannot be an accredited investor because you don't have an ESG number.
Oh, dude, what is an accredited? There's this accredited investor thing. I've never been able to understand what an accredited investor is, man.
$200,000 for the past 2 years, or $1 million and above.
What does it matter, man? They're all still the same level of stupidity. They all get wrecked. They all got wrecked by FTX. They all got wrecked by the stock market. I mean, come on, man. There's no such thing as an accredited investment.
They say that they say that they are protecting the retail investors.
Yeah, you guys
What
have
the
no-
hell?
yeah.
Everybody has equal rights to invest.
Retail investors are living through a robbery. If you believe these people, there's-
SEC, come on, man.
Anyway, moving on there with this ESG situation, Double O. Go ahead, sir. What are some thoughts you have on this?
Yeah, actually, I would like to go into, because this article here from McKinsey was talking about the benefits of ESG and how great it is for the environment and how it protects and ensures businesses add their value to the communities instead of just taking from the community.
Yeah.
Which is great. But what you realize is that the human factor always plays into it, right? Businesses are here to make to make money, to make profits, and greed has overtaken that. So instead of just the pure approach of the positive impact that ESG can do, just environmentally, please, the whole social governance part, I think, needs to be removed. I think it's a huge distraction. But that initial part, environment, we all know we need to be responsible citizens of the world, right?
Yeah.
And McKinsey lays a great point here in this article. You can check it out if you want to
Absolutely.
learn
We'll
more
leave the
about it.
link.
Yeah, but now let's go to what Harvard is digging into and telling us the big issue of what's going on that people don't know. Dig into the details, guys. You know, when they're
Absolutely.
shilling you with everything ESG, ask questions, my friends.
Definitely ask questions, because I think one of those biggest entities that are in this thing is BlackRock, right? Pretty much have everyone's money in ESG. So here's the other side of this thing and the reality.
Yes.
This is the reality of the ESG investments. Okay. Despite
I like how you're doing the Trump approach.
yes, man, we have to do the Trump.
There comes the facts.
We must do the Trump approach every time we're about to hit you with the facts. Okay, the facts will be beautiful. The facts will be great. You will not find it anywhere else, except here on Harvard Business. So this is a piece from Harvard Business here.
Yeah.
Credible source, I would say. In fact, a source that would generally lay on their side. But it seems like there is some...
They flipped.
There's some...
Flipped on them.
Yeah, there's some chaos going on in the house.
All right, man. Let's read it to the people.
So here's the inconvenient truth about ESG investing. Investing in sustainable funds that prioritize ESG goals is supposed to help improve environmental and social sustainability of business practices.
Wow.
Did you guys not take ethics in college? That is where you go and learn how to get better business practices.
They don't care about ethics anymore these days. This guy's come out of Harvard, learning how to rip people off.
Well, listen, Harvard Business Review has something to say, okay? And they say as of December 21, okay, the assets under management at global exchange traded sustainable funds that are publicly set environmental, social, and governance investment objectives amounted to more than 2.7 trillion.
Let's just say $3 trillion.
$3 trillion. Definitely.
That's a lot of money.
That's everybody's money.
That's
Your money
all.
is in there. Believe it or not, your money is in there. On some serious stuff, your money is in,
It's in there.
that 2.7 trillion.
This is
Okay?
why it matters.
These people did not earn $2.7 trillion. We did not pay for $2.7 trillion of anything. This is literally your money.
Your energy, your time,
Yes.
and maybe some of that printed money too.
Hey, listen, the printed money, all of it, right? You watching this video, because that's the part that is like, you watching this video, this is how your value is becoming debased. This is how you are getting controlled. If you're wondering, 81% of these ESG investments were in euro-based funds.
And they took all your money and they took it to Europe, man. They took all your money and they took it to Europe. Did you agree on that?
I want to stop here for a moment. Let's just analyze what we're reading right now, so we can understand how asinine this sounds. 81% of this ESG traded funds.
$3 trillion.
What happened to what form of energy is Europe using recently after the war,
Have you seen how small the continent of Europe is?
bro?
Then you have Africa, you have Asia.
Yeah.
They didn't touch that. They took
Yeah. But here's when the Ukraine war started, didn't they have to roll back to
coal.
Okay,
Right. The worst ESG abusers are the ones taking the most money.
Listen,
81%
81
of $3 trillion
81%.
went to a small continent that is not even producing
That
most
is
of
not-
the carbon.
it's not ESG friendly at all. They have actually moved backwards.
How much carbon is being produced in Europe compared to the other continents?
Listen,
Did you take it to China?
dude? China is just nobody's stopping China. Nobody's stopping China. China has their foot on that.
Take it to India?
So here's the thing: if you find somebody who wants to be arguing or debating you about zero
ESG, yeah, zero carbon
zero net
emission.
carbon by 2020 whatever.
Yeah, get a Tesla.
Their father, they will not see it.
Why you say their father?
Because if you're looking at these numbers, how are you going to reach zero carbon by what, 2030 or whatever the heck they're saying?
All the money is in Europe.
How can you go back to zero carbon when right now you have actually gone back to fossil fuels?
Hey,
How can you go to zero carbon when you solely depend on Russia for your source of energy and you have 81% of the investments, bro? This is not going anywhere. I don't know how this is. What, are we going to wake up one day in 2030 or something and then boom, it's just going to be zero carbon?
numbers.
Insane. People, wake up. 13% of this is in US based funds. In the fourth quarter of 21, 143 billion in new capital flowed into ESG funds. Now, the thing is, these have not fared well, okay, according to this. So to begin with, ESG funds, certainly perform poorly in financial terms. The University of Chicago researchers have analyzed the sustainability ratings of more than 20,000 mutual funds representing over 8 trillion of investor savings, right?
That is the retail investor, accredited investor, your mama, your grandpa, your everybody.
Exactly. Remember, we told you this is your money. Your money is in there.
And guess what? It's mutual funds. The supposedly safe
word.
fund.
The safe word. Oh, dude, wait till you see the definition of a Ponzi scheme.
Woo!
Whenever they say safe, it's in the definition of a Ponzi scheme. It says people offer you safe
Treasury
investments,
bonds,
right?
CDs.
Yeah, and every time you see that these people are offering you safe products, and it's never safe, right? So the highest rated funds in terms of sustainability certainly attracted more capital than the lowest rated funds, right? None of the high sustainability funds outperformed any of the lowest rated funds.
It's talking about safe, right? So you work so hard, you sweat yourself, you work 2 or 3 jobs. So you want your money to grow, right?
Yeah.
So you take your money and you go put it in the Sustain ESG mutual funds or ETF.
Yeah.
To later find out that this sucker is underperforming, can't even catch up with inflation. Your money is gone, poof.
Definitely not catching up with inflation, okay? I'll tell you who else is confirming that. Researchers at Columbia University and London School of Economics.
Oh, so it's not just Harvard.
Hey,
it's not just Chicago.
Listen, man, these people say nothing can be credible unless it comes from the educated.
Hey,
so we're bringing you institutional reference.
Intellectuals.
Intellectual reference. The intellects have spoken, okay? And the intellects at Columbia University and the School of London compared these ESG funds. This ESG compared the ESG record of U.S. companies in 147 funds.
That's a lot,
right? Yeah, a lot. And that of U.S. companies in 2,428 non-ESG portfolios. So we have 147 versus 2428, right? They found that the companies in the ESG portfolios had worse compliance record for both labor and environmental rules.
Okay.
Society is being played. Okay, they also found that companies that added ESG to ESG portfolios did not subsequently improve compliance with labor or environmental regulations.
Guys, we are not lying to you. This is intellectual talk here. Let's talk about intellect. The numbers.
Dude.
They're showing us the facts.
Yeah, what is that thing? Is it numbers don't lie?
Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
1 + 1 and 11.
Yeah, exactly. 1 + 1 and 11. What the heck?
You can multiply it all you want. It's still not 11.
Exactly. You multiply. Oh, now they say here, why are these ESG funds doing so bad? Part of the explanation may be simply that the express focus on ESG is redundant. In competitive labor markets and product markets, corporate managers trying to maximize long-term shareholder value should, of their own accord, pay attention to employee, customer, community, and environmental interests.
Boom. Smashing heads.
There's this term. I'm trying to think of it. It's right there on the tip of my head. I'm about to hit you guys with it.
That's what I stuff. Man.
Game theory. There it is. game theory. It would seem that if you want to progress, you should be acting in a positive manner and in a way that is incentivizing you and everything around you to move towards your goal.
Ethical. Don't go into China, enslave them to create your cell phones, and then ship the cell phones out.
Yes.
The fact that you're enslaving the Chinese is not ethical.
It's not
So you
ethical.
don't need to ESG China when you could have just done the right thing in the first place.
Well, here's the thing. Because, one, you're going to produce in China. China is definitely using dirty energy, right? They're not
Actually,
saying anything to China, okay?
They're getting better now, but continue.
No, I mean, but you know, they've been hard on the gas, not lifting. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But you hear so crunching people in America to reduce their, you know, people by reducing by really oppressing people in America from a climate, you know, on some climate stuff. It does not really do anything for Americans because we're all breathing. China is breathing the same air we're breathing. But I don't know if you guys, you know,
Have you seen what happened in Canada recently?
I don't
It
know
comes
if-
down to us.
I don't know if BlackRock's brain has gone that far yet, but you know, they probably think that America's air is compartmentalized or
Don't get
something.
it, man.
Okay, so this whole thing is a sham. It does not work at all. Okay, I'm just gonna read this final line here, and then we're gonna start working on wrapping this up here. We just have
Two videos
yeah.
to show you to further elaborate on this, baby.
Exactly, right? So we'll have two clips there which we're going to share with you. And then we're also going to look at how Bitcoin is actually accomplishing all of these things without even trying. Remember, I was talking about game theory,
Yeah.
right? And that idea is that if you are taking positive action towards forwarding a specific goal, you benefit from it, and all of those who are on the same accord will also be benefiting from it. This is how
Anything around it benefits from it.
this is also like how it's just with Bitcoin, right? If you want to mine more and you use renewable energy, it's positive. But we'll get to that in a little bit here. So
Energy transfer.
Harvard Business Review wraps up this article here by saying investing in sustainable funds that prioritize ESG goals is supposed to help improve the environment and social sustainability of business practices. Unfortunately, close analysis suggests that it's not only not making much of a difference to companies, actual ESG performance. Well, it's not only not making much of a difference to companies' actual ESG performance. It may actually be directing capital into poor business performance.
Into the businesses that are actually performing poor.
Yes. So then you have to now start asking yourself, what are the criteria that these people use to come up with this thing, right? Because it just does not seem like they have it together.
They never do.
And just to further prove or at least support this idea that they do not have it together, we're going back to the McKinsey's website here, same article as before, right? Here's the thing. Here are some points that they point out on their own article, which you can use against them.
Told on themselves.
Right? So it says, first of all, notice this. Sustainable performance is not possible without social license. And social license, I think everybody already knows what that is. Double O, what does that sound like to you?
What?
Social
You
license.
need the license now?
Yes, now you need license to be able to go outside. You need license to be able to engage with people. You need license to be able to get a job. You probably need license to be able to buy gas next month because you've probably bought too much gas this month and driven out of town and you've emitted too much carbon. So yeah,
It's making sense. That's that license that Nigeria is doing now with that 1,000 naira that you gotta pay if you have a car.
yes, you need a license so you can be tracked.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's already
Digital IDs controlling you, socially controlling you. That's the what's that digital ID why they count your social credits.
social credit.
Yeah.
Social credit, social license, right? So
Same
they're coming in slowly. Wow. The externalities are increasing. Absolutely, the externalities of this program
automatically signing you up in your pension funds and your retirement accounts, because now the government says you're automatically involved in the 401k plan now going forward.
Yeah.
You don't choose the automatic assignments, but when you dig into it, you find out that they are ESG companies.
Yeah. I would say externalities increasing. When it comes to these externalities increasing, I would point out to these people that their main objective is actually flawed. Some companies have performed remarkably, showing that ESG success is indeed possible. The problem is, as we look at these companies or these situations where they say that these companies have performed exceptionally, we see that it is no company that we actually know of.
No, they actually. So I'll give a good example.
Yeah.
So what's one of those? Nestle is one of the
Nestle,
big. It's one of the big ranker.
Yeah.
They tell you Nestle is much more ESG compliant, but you go hacks the farmers on the ground.
Exactly.
In the Western Africa.
exactly.
Social impact. You are taking their resources, paying them pennies, killing them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you send that socially responsible.
Exactly.
And you give them an I score.
And that's the thing, as far as we all know, this ESG ratings and scores and things like that is only on paper. It's not really there in person. Measurements can be improved over time.
Really.
So this is one of the things. While ESG measurements are still a work in progress, which means they don't even have measurements. They're still working on how they can progress these things, yet you're already enforcing it.
Since 2005.
Yes.
And it's still a work in progress.
Work in progress. Right. Well, let's hear some of the people who are pushing back against this. Right. Let's talk about some of the people who are pushing back against this. We've seen the Harvard Business Review writing a very strong article there, kind of debunking or pushing back on this idea of ESG. Some other people who are pushing back against it are state treasurers, and these are the best people to be pushing back against this.
Yeah, on your behalf,
right?
We hire them.
Exactly, and this is also some of the people that we don't really see in the limelight quite often. So, state treasurer, because this is the thing with financial people, they're so nerdy, man. We have a state treasurer here. It was on Jordan Peterson's show, Derek Crefels, right?
Yeah, I think he was talking about. This might be the video where he's talking about the responsibility of the state treasurer.
Yes, so he's just going to describe what a responsibility of a state treasurer is, and we hope that you see the importance of, of what they're doing and why it's important to be able to pay attention to this and to understand how this is going to be affecting you directly.
You and your mama.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So here we go.
What impact is it going to have on their day-to-day lives?
Absolutely. The easiest way to think about a state treasurer or one of these financial officers is that they really are the chief financial officer for their state. They see the inflows and the outflows. They see the revenues coming in from tax revenues or other sources, and they see that the way that the state spends the money. Most of them manage the state's checkbook, right? So they really see the day-to-day transactions. One thing that we did when we first started SFOF was we did a poll, and we asked in several states, who do you trust more on state financial matters? We gave them the choice of their governor, their state treasurer, or their member of Congress. And the lowest that a state treasurer received was 60%. The governor was usually 20 to 25%, and the member of Congress, regardless of party, was trusted less than 10% of the time in issues of public finance.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that right in there as well. All right, so here's the thing. First of all, I expected the governor and the the governor and the member of Congress to do horribly. Nobody's really expecting that those people are good at finances.
But they're the ones that are the most easily influenced by this ESG crowd.
Yeah, they're most easily influenced, and they kind of become the soldiers for this asinine people.
Yeah, take the money under the table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we have the state treasurers from multiple states right now, because that's why he's on the show, essentially saying, hey, we see the ins and outs of the cash flow for your state. This ESG mission that these people are pushing, if this carries on, this is going to be catastrophic for your state. It makes no sense to begin with. Right, so they're trying to push back against it.
See what happened in New York City and California?
Exactly, right? And so now we find ourselves now in this situation where if you do not comply to these arbitrary ESG rules, which they don't have a proper measurement for yet, measurement still in progress, as we all saw,
They said it.
they can choose not to allow you to start your company. They can choose to blacklist your company. If you have fighting power, then they can use the media to blast you down. We see Tesla,
Ooh,
right?
So that
Which, interestingly,
destroyed the stock.
it seems to me that Tesla should be number one on the ESG safe company list, right?
Yeah.
And unshakable from the top of that list because they've done nothing but produce cars that are battery operated
So-called
only.
ESG.
So-called ESG
Environment.
friendly. Listen, battery operated cars also have their own issues, but let's stick with the logic of what it's
Okay.
supposed to be. You know what I mean? Let's stick with the logic of the situation here because they push electric cars as the solution.
Environmentally friendly solution.
Exactly, right? So Tesla
Yeah.
should be at the top of that list, period.
Yeah.
But Tesla is not at the top of that list.
No, it's not.
Maybe this is because they don't have any measuring standards. Yes, they have clearly admitted in their own, in one of their own writings.
Or
there.
maybe Tesla is not putting money in somebody's pocket.
Well, but that's the thing. Should we be operating based on whose pockets are being lined, or should we just be or should we be in a free market? As you start asking these questions, you see, it starts exposing the insanity that is this whole system. Okay, and so the state treasurers are saying, "Hey, this has to stop." Now, think about this, and I think that the positive side is that society has the tools to fight back. We just have to be aware and actually take action, right? Because think about this: if your company is doing something that they don't like, they can blast you on the media, jack you up. No bank is probably going to approve you for a loan at that
You
point
can't
in
be
time.
banked anymore.
Right? Exactly, which is why it's important that there's alternative systems, right? If your state is not complying with some madness coming down from the World Economic Forum, because it's no longer Washington, it seems like,
Nope.
right? Then the World Economic Forum can possibly take some action against your state funding, which is asinine.
You're not gonna get that $3 trillion.
Yeah, which is asinine because your state funding is supposed to be coming from your pockets.
Your money, your
Right?
time.
So how can someone stop this money from getting to your state if it is your money, your time, and your state, right? Your representatives that you voted in. These are things that we need to think about. Double up.
Man, I got speechless after that one because I was thinking about what you just said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are we hopeless or do we gotta fight back?
We have to fight back, and we can fight back. And I'll give you an example of what fighting back also looks like, because we've actually seen some of that recently with the Bud Light situation and the Target situation. Withdraw your money from these funds.
Hey, good. Let's see Mr. Peterson fighting back for a second.
Hey, exactly. Right. So let's see here. Wait, that one is not loading. While this is reloading here, right? I think if you look at the the Target situation, you saw. Did you see the Target stock tank after that whole situation? Right.
Oh, Coke is tanking right now.
Which one is that?
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that one needs to go to the ground. I don't even know how that thing is to that. That needs to go to zero.
Oh man.
That needs to go straight to zero because that's not not coming back at all. Well, this video is not pulling up right now here, but while we work on pulling up that video, here are some.
They have ESG banners on that one.
Listen, man, they've been listening to our conversation, and they're like, "We're not gonna let you play that video, goddammit." Listen, while all of this is happening, while these people are taking these radical methods or radical approach to trying to make sure that there is more renewable energy use, which is supposed to be good for the environment, we have Tether here, right? Investing in El Salvador's $1 billion renewable energy project.
That's that stable coin, right?
Exactly.
Tether is that stable coin.
The stable
USDT.
coin that has been under attack. The stable coin that everyone says is a sham because it's not under the regulations. The stable coin that everyone says you should get out of and is going to depeg and go to zero. But we could also say that they're saying this because it is not under the SEC and their regulations and whatever else that we all see them manipulating here all the time.
The current box that they want to keep you in.
Yes. USDC has depegged before, recently actually. Tether, which is supposed to be the crazy one, has not depegged yet. It's still winning. I mean, Binance has a whole lot more coming for it, but it's a big battle. But I think that you can see that there are some companies that started off from the very early days of Bitcoin, and I think that they have some firepower financially. Anyway, go ahead.
Tether is also investing in Bitcoin monthly now. I think it's buying $1 million worth of Bitcoin every month, I believe, or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
They need to wait first. Freaking madness. Well, they're probably buying OC over the counter, though. So it's probably
I think you skipped one before this.
It's not going to affect the price.
I went by it too fast.
Let's see. No, that's it.
Okay,
that's the one.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
This is renewable energy. This is ESG positive. Not in the sense of how they did it, but let's just say environmental positive, right? And they do not need ESG to push them for that. El Salvador, volcanoes being harnessed to mine Bitcoin, right? Renewable energy. Did not need ESG to motivate this situation because, the cheaper energy you have, the more efficient it is for your Bitcoin mining. The more profits you make in your Bitcoin mining. Remember when we spoke about game theory, positive behavior, which affects everything around you in a positive manner to reach your goal.
Talking about goals, real quick on that situation.
Yeah.
El Salvador was not allowed to take IMF loan. As a matter of fact, they said they don't want their loans, right?
Yes.
IMF is one of those organizations that is pushing ESG.
Yeah.
IMF is printing money out of tin here, destroying the environment.
Debasing your value.
Debasing your value.
By
That
printing that
right
money.
there is
Yeah.
the social and economic impact, negative social and economic impacts.
Absolutely.
Nobody talked about that. That $3 trillion, nothing, almost zero, maybe 1% touches Africa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Touches El Salvador. Right?
Right.
But the same ESG, they have solved their own problem by themselves.
Yeah.
And they're fighting them against ESG at the same. Like, come on, guys, connect the dots.
Exactly. I agree. It goes on and on. We see Japan's largest power company, which will soon be mining Bitcoin with their excess energy.
Again, another continent, another total different continent.
It seems to me like ESG should have Bitcoin in their plan. Okay. Because
But they always use Bitcoin as their you know what, we have to shut Bitcoin down because of ESG. You might want to refresh.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
did update it.
Well, I think maybe our internet is being shaky here.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll wrap up this video. We'll talk about it.
Our internet is not ESG compliant.
Listen, man, not at all. Not at all. I think it was Schwab from the World Economic Forum came and shut it off himself. Okay, I think he walked over there to Comcast or wherever these people are and pulled the plug by himself. Unplugged us from the freaking internet servers.
Interweb of the world.
Yes. Okay.
Stop us from getting the word out there.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it was really awesome talking about this. We hope that you guys find this information very helpful. We would like to be able to engage you all to expand on these ideas and discuss a better future for ourselves, to be honest. At this point in time, it seems like the leaders have lost control. We are on our own.
They don't have control.
Yeah.
They've given it to somebody else.
They don't.
The money makers, or what do you call it?
Yeah.
Money managers.
We must be the change we want to see. So please, as you move, please take more responsibility. Think about others who are around you when you take action. Right? This way, we can all be in a more responsible society where, at least, I think if there's enough collective individual responsibility around, we can get to a point where everybody is kind of in sync with a specific mindset as to how we want to move forward, which is not this ESG and BlackRock and corporate elite scam that is going on right now. It's been a long video. Double up. Wrap it up, sir.
Man, you said something about being a responsible member of the society, of the community, right?
Yeah.
And I'll say it starts with something very simple. You're in the gym. You take those weights and you used to work out. Put those weights back on the rack. That is ESG compliant, my friend.
Yeah, if you take weights off in the gym and you don't put it back,
I just toss it all over the place.
I despise you. You are scum of earth.
You know?
Put your weight back. Facts. This is true. It starts from very small things, for sure. Then it expands all the way.
I have to put on my t-shirt for the fun, man.
Hey, man. He has a fight coming up in
August. That is ESG compliant.
Yeah, that's an ESG compliant fight. Yeah, that's it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you found this one very helpful. Please subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter at STAKKFin. And of course, we're also on Spotify at STAKK. Until next time, Brazen out.
Double O.
Sun God.